Hello, and welcome to the Evolve Vets podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bethany Weinheimer. Hello, friend, and welcome back to the Evolve Vets podcast for season 2. I'm Dr. Bethany Weinheimer, your host. And today I want to make an announcement that Anna is actually going to take a step back from the Evolve Vets to focus on our family. And here at the Evolve Vets, we love talking about alignment and really living alignment with our authentic values. And of course, we love and honor everything that Anna has done for the Evolve Vets, and just like her genuine dedication, like we would not be where we are today without her. And so we're sending her on this next part of her journey to focus on her family with love and compassion and so much grace and gratitude for everything that she's done for us up to this point. And I think the truth is with this discovery made me really think a lot about balance and how oftentimes in veterinary medicine, this word about balance is tossed around, but how many times do we actually live in alignment with our balance and what our body needs and how we show up for ourselves? And so giving a huge shout out to Anna and just like this being a topic of conversation that I think we see a lot in our clients at the Evolve Vets, but I really do think it should be a deeper conversation and really let's lean into that today. So when we talk about balance in veterinary medicine, there are a few things that come up, right? Work-life balance. People talk about career balance, balance between the expectation that it is to be a mom, a working mom, and a veterinarian, right? Like I hear that all the time from our clients. There's an emotional balance, a leadership balance, right? There's this thing as a woman where you need to be empathetic and kind and warm, but not too warm to where people don't listen to you or follow through on your advice or recommendations. So let's just be honest for a second, right? When someone tells you, you just need more balance in your life or you need to set a better boundary, doesn't that kind of make you want to throw a shoe or something? Like it's not that simple and it is very complex. And I think that's why so many women come to the Evolve Vets saying these exact things. Like there's this expectation that we show up differently, but the truth is it's not that simple. And so when we think about balance in vet med, I think about my life as an ER veterinarian and what it means to do a 12-hour shift when there's 3 euthanasias, 2 black cats, an angry client, or maybe in a general practice, right? Where you're seeing those 6 extra drop-offs that they needed you to care for in between your already stacked schedule. What does balance look like on those days? And it's not the Instagram version of balance, right? Where, even me, I post pictures on vacation, having fun, that is balance. But the balance that we're talking about is what does it look like in veterinary medicine? And going on vacation is a part of it, right? I talk to my coach, my therapist, everybody says Bethany, your core authentic value of adventure, you need to be out there exploring, getting to know the world. And if you're not doing that, you're not having a level of fulfillment. So it really roots back to this concept of what does balance look like for you in veterinary medicine? Because it's going to be different for everyone. And there's a psychological, emotional, a practicality, a body sensation that needs to happen in order for you to really own balance in your own life. And when we use the Evolve Vets method, we come to this concept of deeply understanding what exactly it is for ourselves and how we bring that out into the real world. So here at the Evolve Vets, we like to use this concept of the whole person model. And in this model, it talks about mind, body, emotions, and spirit. So there's kind of 4 components, the way that I see it. And what's the spoiler alert here for this episode? It's not all 25% for each quarter, right? Some days balance looks different than other days. And I'll give you a perfect example. I am a field medical director at VEG, and part of my responsibilities is going out and being a medical director consultant for really tough things that the medical director maybe just needs a little bit more insight on how to partner with their market owner, their local team, either leadership team or doctor team, to get the right results. And so for me, the thing that I'm able to do is actually go in. I do a discovery process. I better understand what the challenges of the hospital are. And then I partner with that medical director and market owner to better understand what the challenge is. And then we create an action plan together that they can live out. Now, just over the last several weeks, I was gone a lot. So let me give you an example of what my travel schedule looks like with this job. I love traveling, right? Just said it's an authentic value for me. And the beautiful part about this job is I get to have that adventurous spirit, that nomadic spirit, that spontaneity that I deeply love about travel. And I get to connect deeply with these hospital teams. So in these moments, as I'm going in to start my consulting work, I can tell you what my typical travel schedule looks like. It's usually 2 to 3 weeks a month that I'm gone from home, and I'm actually deployed to these hospitals that need the consultant. And so as I go in to help, my travel schedule can look a little bit crazy. And let's see. So when I had a series of events where I went to Canada. Actually, there was going to be a snowstorm. Let me rewind a few days before. There was going to be a snowstorm here in Texas, and I knew I was going to be traveling a lot. So my boyfriend, Fabian, and I, we hopped on a plane, enjoyed some time in Miami where I got to do a lovely interview with Mita from Chewy, which you guys will be hearing about next on the podcast, which is going to be so fun. And love that interview with her. So we took 2 days to just lay by the pool, relax, not have anything crazy going on in our lives, just truly get to rest and restore. And then what the next few days looked like was I flew to Canada. I held a culture and leadership training that I did for the team there. This is the Vege's First International Hospital. And I do a program called 3 Vital Questions that essentially focuses on hospital culture, how we interact with each other, how do we give real-time feedback, how do we have those difficult conversations and have ownership of our culture for the individual hospital. And the most beautiful part about that is we got some really awesome feedback that I can't wait to share with you guys. But then I went and flew directly to Atlanta, where we had our Spark Summit, which is essentially a leadership summit where all the local leaders from each hospital across our 120 hospitals at Veg all come together. Our regional partners come together. Our market owners come together. All the chiefs and everyone at BQ comes down too. So it's this big togetherness event where we focus on the amazing accomplishments that we had from 2025. And we also talk about the really amazing goals that we have set for 2026 and how our action items to bring that to life for the following year. So that was another 3 days in Georgia. There was going to be an ice storm, so we ended up kind of wrapping it up a little bit early. Luckily, I got to squeeze in 24 hours at home with Fabian, and then I flew right back to Canada where we launched our doctor boot camp that Dr. Megan Figger, who's also in our Evolve Vets membership. Hey, Megan. And we actually got to launch Doctor Camp. And it was so exciting to see the engagement out in Canada because these veterinarians have been waiting on somewhere like Veg for 5 years. And their excitement and engagement with everything that we did was high level and so excited. So then I had, another week there and then finally got home. So I was gone from home minus that 1 24-hour day, but I was on the road pretty much on and off flights for about 10 days. And so that's just a little bit about what that can feel like. But in all practicality, that doesn't mean I'm off balance, right? Because I'm still taking time to exercise. I'm still taking the time to do my meditations. Now, will I admit, did I get a little bit behind on my winter evolution? Yes, I definitely did. So did that leave me getting a little bit behind on my winter evolution challenge that we're doing with our community? Yes. But I think the most important thing is that when you get a little bit off track, it's not the fact that you get off track and then that the perfectionistic person inside me says, wow, how dare you get off track? You suck. And then just don't pick it up again. It's to say, okay, that was a really tough few days. You got a little bit off track, but now you're going to go home. You're going to rest. You're going to reconnect with your partner, have some time with little Zeba, my chocolate lab, and really just get to restore on the things that matter most. And so balance and this concept of balance might look very different for everyone. Me being on the road 2 to 3 weeks a month feels good for me because I have a nomadic spirit. Whereas some of the other women in the Evolve Vets membership, wouldn't really be focused on that because maybe they have a young family or they actually don't enjoy traveling that much. It would be more exhausting than it would be thrilling. And so you have to just really know what your authentic values are and how you show up in those. So that way you can feel fulfilled, compassionate, and supercharged with the balance in your life. And then I think the other part about the busy travel schedule for me was at first I didn't give myself permission to rest. And now I have kind of baked in new processes for me to be able to rest, like truly rest. And so what that will look like is, just this week I worked some overnights, several overnights at one of our hospitals. And that just completely destroys me in many ways because I get really tired. I get behind on my day job. But it's so fun going in and working the clinical shifts, right? So what I have to do after those night shifts is block off my calendar the next day so I can sleep. I had to move many meetings around that were very important to different days. So that way I could prioritize sleep and balance in those moments because I knew it was going to be a hard transition to work those ER shifts. So practically, what does balance actually look like in emergency medicine or general practice medicine? As a field medical director, my balance looks like, tagging in a weekend where I can go get away with my boyfriend. And it looks like blocking off meeting schedules so I can actually sleep after overnight shifts. What it might look like for you is blocking off an hour for lunch or maybe 30 minutes for lunch, just not being on your phone or numbing, but actually just sitting with yourself and just sitting in the quiet. Or maybe you're more of a social person and you prefer to engage with others during your lunch hour. And that feels energizing for you. So really the core is understanding your authentic values and how you show up in those so you can be the best vet or vet professional that you possibly can be. So let's start with the basics. Balance is not working 40 hours and resting exactly 40 hours. It's not feeling calm all of the time. I think sometimes when people learn about our membership, they think, oh, well, if I start meditating, am I never going to feel sad or never going to feel angry? But no, the answer is absolutely. You're still human. You're going to experience the feelings. You're still going to at moments feel overwhelmed, but you're going to have this regulated nervous system to where you can come back to simplicity and the knowing that you can overcome those things much faster. And what it also doesn't mean is that you have perfectly portioned buckets of life. I talk to moms who are in our membership, and some of the best feedback that we get is that they've just simply started giving themselves 10 minutes to themselves in the morning before they pick up the kid out of the crib or, start their day. They just give themselves 10 minutes to journal, to meditate, whatever it is they can squeeze in that feels good for them. Because the reality is balance is nervous system regulation. In a 2022 study from Frontiers Vet Science, it found that nearly 87% of U.S. veterinarians report moderate to high signs of burnout. And that's not scheduling, right? That's regulation. It's how our nervous system is constantly toggling between our fight, our flight, our freeze, and our fawn. The fight is like that urgent case that comes in. The flight is overwhelm and our productivity anxiety. And then our freeze is, maybe when we shut down or we numb out by, scrolling on TikTok. And then we also have the fawn where we start to people please and we're not actually doing what we need for ourselves and we self-abandon to make other people happy. And if you never really return to safety and your nervous system never really has that chance to reset, then it's kind of hard for you to ever truly feel balanced because balance is about the nervous system. It's about your energy and what you put forward. And balance isn't the absence of stress, fear, sadness, or changes. It's your ability to come back to baseline when those things happen and to truly express that emotion and let it out. And so let's talk about why balance kind of can be hard in veterinary medicine. I think there's 3 things that stand out to me as disruptors from what we hear from our clients in the Evolve Vets membership, what y'all tell me on Instagram and TikTok, and through our coaching clients, right? So the first that I see is going to be perfectionism. It is everywhere in veterinary medicine. We were trained to chase these gold standard outcomes, right? We are trained to make all A's and be perfect in any way, do all the leadership clubs, do all the things that you need to do to be a good vet, to earn it, right? And for those of you who didn't see and are listening, I just put my hands in air quotes. But research from Frontiers actually says that perfectionism physicians, so human doctors with high perfectionism traits were 33% more likely to experience emotional exhaustion and depersonalization. That is so high. Perfectionism can be masqueraded as professionalism. And that's what I see as I'm talking to veterinarians all around the world, is that you write it off as like it being the right thing for the patient. But true balance requires permission to be human, right? It fights our tendency to people please when we're tempted to say no, or we want to say no, but then we say yes anyway, right? When you know the other person really wants you to do something, it's easy as a perfectionist, as a people pleaser, to kind of cave. And just this last week, I was coaching a medical director, and she said, I didn't realize how much of a perfectionist I was. And it was hard to even admit that I was a perfectionist. I didn't want to, label myself as having that as something I need to work on, because it seems so rigid. But the truth is, as I started to name it, I started to let go of this control. And once I gave up the control and actually started empowering my people, the more I showed up better for my team, the more my team showed up better for me. And that partnership of letting things go and trusting the other person, knowing it might not be perfect the way you envision, but it could be perfect the way that person does it. And what's perfect anyway, right? Perfect is just like how we've lived life and how we see yes and no's. But as we know, veterinarians and veterinary medicine have different perspectives. Medicine is different. The way that we handle conflict is all different. We're each individual is doing our best in the moment that we have. And so I think when we come to this as like, okay, one, can I name my perfectionism? And then can I start to shed it away? The second thing that we see at the Evolve Vets in our memberships and coaching program is this concept of emotional labor. And it can also get in the way of balance. And it makes it harder for veterinarians and veterinary medicine professionals. So what is this emotional labor? It's this concept that you're the grief counselor, you're the medical expert, the financial negotiator, the hospice consultant, you're the team leader, right? You're the person that jumps in and helps manage crisis. You are all of these things, and that does add up to be an emotional toll. And usually this is all before lunch, right? Emotional labor is what drains your cognitive bandwidth. And if you never refill that bandwidth and you never take a pause to restore your nervous system and you don't recalibrate it, that balance is going to deplete because you don't have that space for emotional recovery. And it's not just like, I need a weekend off or I need a night off. It's much deeper than that, because nervous system regulation is the ability to confront and acknowledge and process and heal your emotions. And so I think these are key components that I see as blockers to having true balance. And then the third is going to be identity fusion. And this one is sneaky. And many veterinarians only see themselves as a veterinarian. Like their profession is who they are. They are vet med. But when our identity starts to fuse with our career, when we have hard days, it feels like an attack on your self-worth, on your lovability, your worthiness, how you show up in the world. And when we have balance, it actually requires identity differentiation, which means, on your days off, right? Like you maybe don't want to answer text people about medical questions. Like maybe you want to be out riding your bike with your boyfriend or spending time with your kiddos or going to a dance recital. You are more than your DVM, right? We know that being a vet is something we love. It's something we've been passionate about, usually since we were kids, some of us older in life. But the reality is we are passionate about the work that we do, and it matters. And it also matters to be things outside of our profession that keep us grounded. That is the truth behind balance. And so when I started to go through this journey, I started to realize I have so many deep layers within me. And I am a vet, but I'm also a girlfriend. I'm also a sister, a traveler, a friend. I'm a dog mom. I'm kind. I'm loved. I'm worthy. I'm athletic. I love Pilates. I'm a yogi. I live a van life, right? So there's so many dimensions of who I am. So I am a vet, but I'm so much more. And so I think as we start to understand our authentic values, we get clear about what those are and we start living by them. That's how we get really practical balance in vet med. And so what does this look like? energy awareness. Instead of how many hours did I work last week, think about how did my nervous system feel today? What did my nervous system feel like? All the stresses of the week, did I actually process them and let them go? Or are they still living inside somewhere and I didn't give them space or the time that they needed to journal, cry it out, maybe go on a run? I don't know. People like these, what are the rooms called? The break rooms, like where you go in and break stuff. Whatever it is that you need to do to process your emotions, like just get it out. It's so worth it. If you are in full survival mode right now, if you're questioning whether you can keep doing this, if you feel like your nervous system is constantly on edge, maybe you feel apathetic or completely emotionally distant, then Code Blue Coaching was built for you. It's my 12-week intensive coaching experience designed specifically for veterinarians nearing burnout, having identity strain, career crisis, or just feeling stuck. It's not just about mindset. It's about understanding how to do the inner work to elevate yourself as a leader on the floor. We regulate our nervous system, unpack perfectionism, and we rebuild our identity. We create a recovery protocol for sustainable leadership, mentorship, and being an excellent veterinarian. It's not a pep talk or a simple reset. It's truly transitioning from a Code Blue, that critical stage where there's not much more you can give, to thriving and living in alignment with your authentic values. So if you're ready to start living in flow and if you're ready for real transformation, this is your next step. And this is actually what we talk about in our winter evolution. It's the concepts of what is energy management, right? We talked a little bit about balance. We talked about what holds vets back from balance. And a lot of it has to do with how we see ourselves, our self-worth, letting go of control and perfectionism, and then being able to actually regulate our nervous system. And this is where our winter evolution comes in so clutch and so necessary, because the process that we go through is the first week is basically a setup week. And during that week, you're like finding an accountability buddy. You are going on this journey to really set yourself up for success, like finding things that make you happy. Like for me, it's going on walks and bubble baths. And when I go through an evolution with the community, I like to make sure I'm very centered and ready to go. And then in our second week, we do this really cool thing called an energy management quiz. And the energy management quiz is so helpful because it actually shows you where am I at today in my energy management and how do I get to energy abundance? Like what does true energy abundance feel like? And where am I today? And it's not to judge yourself, right? When we take these types of quizzes, it's more of an awareness. And, if today you're at a score of a 2 and, you are like me and a little bit of a perfectionist and you want to be at a score 10 or 16, 15, right? Like you can strive for more, but take baby steps. It's okay if you go from a score of a 2 to, a score of a 4 in 3 months. It doesn't mean you have to change everything all at once. It just means, can I be honest about where I'm starting today and not judge myself for where the starting point is? Because I know taking progress on the journey is going to be the thing that adds up over time. And so in the winter evolution, we talk about these 4 components. The first is going to be mind. So when we think about our mind, do we give our brain stimulation? Like, are we able to do things that are creative? Am I able to actually focus on one task at a time? Do I allow myself the space to just focus on one thing at a time? And then with the mind, the other thing I think of is like, do I have a good, healthy internal self-talk, right? So when I think about the mind, I think about this concept, which we talk about in the membership and I deeply love. It is called the itty bitty shitty committee. And it's that little committee that hops online and says negative things to you. For example, if you're about to go into surgery and you start to feel anxious and your itty bitty shitty committee comes online and they say, what on earth do you think you're doing? This is crazy. You're not talented. You haven't done enough of these. You can't do this on your own. And it's okay. Dr. Joe Dispenza actually goes through this really cool process where he says you should name your brain. And so in the example that I use in the course, I just name my brain Mitzi because it sounds small and like I can tell her to like settle down at any point. So I'll say like, okay, Mitzi, thanks for the input. Now you and the committee need to just, have a seat. Like I'm an adult, I'm trained and I can overcome and I can do hard things. And I appreciate that those things are there, but the concept of naming your brain and Dr. Joe Dispenza's theory is that if you can name your brain, you can silence it, because you shouldn't believe every stupid thought your brain thinks. Yeah, Joe Dispenza said it, not me. And it is so true. We can't believe every stupid thing our brain thinks, but it's also up to us to build resiliency to say, Mitzi, that's enough. Settle down. I'm confident and I can do this. I'm worthy. I'm smart. I'm loved. And then kind of reaffirm yourself in a very healthy way. So that's kind of the mind bucket that we think about. And then we think about the body. So for me, showing up with a very fulfilled component of energy management when it comes to my body, it's like, am I exercising regularly? And it doesn't mean like I'm running marathons, right? It means, am I going on walks? Am I, going to, I love Pilates, right? You guys know this about me. I love Pilates. So am I going to my Pilates class? Does my body feel like I care about her and that I'm showing up for her in ways that are nourishing and loving? Like, I love bubble baths. For me, a bubble bath is something that's really important when I show up for myself. Like, that's how I honor my body. It's giving it the rest. It's giving it relaxation that it needs. And then what am I feeding my body? Am I putting in good foods? Am I eating my vegetables? Am I eating a good amount of protein? Or have I kind of fallen off the wagon and started eating Whataburger on overnights, which I definitely did this week. So I think in those moments, think about like, how am I nourishing my body? And are the actions and the processes that I'm taking with my body, is it because I honor and love her? And am I showing that for my management? Because the more self-worth I have, the more I show up for these small actions time and time again. And I do like small treats. Like every morning I make myself a fancy latte. I love steaming the milk, making the coffee. And that's just like an experience. And then I sit and I hold it. And it's just a way of like bringing comfort to my body that feels very nourishing and relaxing for me. And then the next is going to be our emotions. Now, emotions are huge. As we pointed out, this is one of the 3 ways that this gets in the way for veterinary medicine. We aren't really trained well in vet med. We have a very high emotional job, but we aren't trained to actually know how to regulate and manage those emotions that show up. And as we start to think about this concept of emotional regulation, emotional management, right? It's first being able to understand our feelings. So what am I actually feeling right now? There's a study that was published that actually says when you can name your emotion, it actually reduces how intense you feel it. So literally just naming it, saying like, okay, I'm feeling really angry right now. And then like identifying why. These are huge components of really understanding your emotions and letting yourself process it. There's always so much shame around crying or, yelling or whatever it is. Like if you need to yell, don't yell at someone, right? Yell into a pillow. If you need to cry, let it out. Like your body has to process the emotion in a way that's healthy for you. And maybe you don't cry real time, right? Maybe you cry on the drive home after a really tough euthanasia. It doesn't have to be in a specific place, or maybe you do cry in the euthanasia, right? Both are healthy. It's just allowing your body to release what lives in it. And then also like part of this emotional regulation is allowing space for this reflection. And this is really, the Evolve Vets method applies to all of them, but I find the change in our members is really coming from this emotional stage where they start to know and understand and process their emotions at a deeper level. And things that I want to know when I am coaching people on the emotional management piece in this quadrant of the body, of the whole person model, I start to think, okay, when was the last time, like, can you manage yourself when you're triggered? Or do you jump into saying something that you'll regret? Right? So that's one example of how I would be checking in on my emotions. Am I giving myself space to process the emotions? Am I doing a journaling practice or a meditation practice or something that connects me back with my emotions? Another great thing with emotions is getting a coach or talk therapy or some elevated experience where you can have someone to actually talk through these challenges that you experience. And then the last quadrant is going to be spirit. And spirit is such a fun one because it's really about the things that make your soul just light up and give you so much energy. To me, it's like a magic. So when I do things, am I creating space to do something that I love, that maybe isn't going to be like productive per se, but is going to give me so much fulfillment that I end up showing up better in all the other areas. So for me, Being in nature is one of those things that just fuels my spirit. And so as I start to think about like, what does being in my spirit look like to Bethany? It is being outside, going on a walk, maybe a bike ride, maybe a hike, maybe going on a van trip, right? So it can show up differently. It doesn't have to be strict and structured. It can just be like, okay, I've had a tough week. What does Bethany need to do to reconnect with herself spiritually? Because every time I'm in nature, I have so many more ideas for the Evolvettes, so many more just creative thinking. Like every time I'm out in nature or on a camping trip or on a hike, I come up with new ideas that deeply relate to the people that are in the membership and even at Veg too. Like I had this really cool idea recently that I have been pitching at Veg, but it came from those moments out in nature. And so when I think about spirit, like, am I creating space for me to do the things that I deeply love? Maybe for you, it's painting. Maybe it's taking time to watch a movie with your kids and like have a movie night, right? And making that a special thing. Like, what are the things that you value right now? What are your authentic values? And then how do you reconnect your creativity, your spirit, your excitement? It's kind of like the concept of if you didn't get paid, what would be the one thing that you do anyway? And what is your passion, right? And so I think spirit leans into this concept of how do you show up for your passion, even if nothing comes from it other than you just feeling fulfilled and feeling happy. Do that thing. And then in our final week of the winter evolution, we really focus on how do we apply small, consistent steps to actually get us to the place we need to be and start working towards energy abundance, which is the concept of managing our energy in such a balanced way that we have fulfillment in a regulated nervous system in everyday life. So what this looks like might be, is there one small thing I can do in my mind, body, emotions, or spirit section? Or maybe there's one that's a big outlier. I've had many people going through the evolution that come to me and say, well, I'm really good in these 3 areas, but I'm significantly low in, maybe my body portion. And so then we start to work together on what are the things that we can focus on for your body to make that just kind of ease up into the same area where your other areas are feeling more balanced. And so as we work through these processes together, if you need additional help, of course, we always have one-on-one coaching, code BLUE coaching, which we can actually deep dive each of these concepts together so you don't have to do the journey alone. So if you're interested in understanding more about your energy management and really getting to this place of energy abundance, please join the Evolvettes membership. If you're not sure if you're ready to join, the good news is I'm giving you all free access to our energy management quiz for the winter evolution. So take the quiz honestly, without judgment, no criticism, right? It's just a true understanding of where you're starting your journey and how you can start to take those small, consistent steps to get to where you need to be. And so let's actually dive into what the energy quiz is going to show you. First, we'll have this level 1, which is you're in a true energy management crisis. And what that means is it's usually a time to get help. And that help could be from a coach, a consultant, a therapist, truly anyone who can work with you one-on-one to help develop a plan and have accountability and just discussion, right? The thing that we found in the consulting program and the coaching program is that you actually start to notice these big gaps. It can feel intimidating. It can even feel hopeless in a way. Like there's so much to be done, and it kind of overwhelms that perfectionist that we see in veterinarians. And so I think really, if you're at this energy management crisis phase, I would consider Code Blue coaching if that sounds like something that is in it for you. Of course, like I really just think that you need help and assistance. And I think it's okay to say you need help, right? I got a coach and I do therapy together, and it's such a great combo. And I would definitely recommend for anyone who's listening, if you're in this energy crisis stage, it's okay to get help. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're not worthy. It just means sometimes we're human and we need a little help along our journey. Now, level 2 is going to be a energy management deficit. And what this means is there's a pretty significant gap between what you're actually living and the version of yourself that you want to be, your evolved self. And so as we think about where we're at today and where we want to go, there's still a pretty significant gap. Because there's a significant gap, it's going to be important that you have an accountability buddy, someone to actually go on this journey with you. Because again, help is the major thing that actually shows the most success here. Join the Evolve Vets community. We're happy to help you as a community and actually walk you through how to do this in an online way. We have an app, which is really fun. You can download, chat with anybody on the community, connect with all of our valuable members. We have everyone from CVO all the way to ER doctor, vet students, GP vets, medical directors, field medical directors, chief of staffs. There's everyone in the membership, and so excited to have you join too, if this sounds like the right path. Now, level 3 is going to be where we're hitting a stage where we can reasonably manage our energy. We have probably a lot of the basics down. Now, what we usually find in this is it might not be even in all 3. There might be 3 or 2 buckets that are doing really well, and 1 to 2 of those buckets are kind of lacking. And so there's a disproportionate management as we coach through this. And so the help here, whether it's with Code Blue coaching or within the Evolve Vets community or finding your own therapist, or maybe you're doing this with your practice. We have some practices doing this work together. So this shows that you have some skills. But maybe this is something that you can use partnership, accountability buddies, the community to actually work through this. But again, it's all about small, consistent steps and finding this energy balance so that way you can reach true energy abundance. Level 4 is going to be energy abundance. So you have really excellent skills at managing your energy, and there are probably still ways to go. Like I would say, I do a really great job of managing my energy because I've been doing this work for almost 8 years now, and it feels very impactful. Now, what I will say is there's also areas that sometimes when you get to manage some of these core functions, there starts to be these deeper layers that we start to understand. Like for me, when I up-leveled my coach this last year, I actually found that I was willing to admit that I was a perfectionist, and I actually did need some coaching around additional help in these areas, and it really transformed my life. And I think just because you hit level 4, I would say that the abundance is actually embodying all the things as much as you can. And that layers are going to get deeper and deeper as you move forward through your journey. So really great job. Now, again, as I say, great job. I am proud of you, but there's always more to be done, always more work to reflect on. And there's always going to be moments where you get hit with grief. Recently, I had a friend whose dad was really hurt in the hospital. And for her, she was a very balanced person before, but went through this life event that actually created a disbalance. And so getting her back on this journey to where she could rebalance things, knowing and understanding that she was processing a lot of grief. It's not like you're good or bad. It's just life happens sometimes, and we can work up to the different levels of energy abundance. So that way we can actually start to live this balanced life in accordance with our authentic values. So if you're interested, please take the free quiz. I would love all of you to join our Winter Evolution that we're working together as a community right now. You can also join our Instagram community. You can just find me at drbeththevet, and no period. You can find me so that way you can follow along in our channel. I have people responding and asking questions and answering polls every day. So it's been really fun to get to know you guys who listen to the podcast and follow the newsletter. Even if you're not quite in the membership yet and you're still thinking about it, it's a great way to build trust and get to know what we're thinking about on our journey as we go through. To me, as we think about balance, I think there's a 4-step process that needs to happen. 1, there's self-awareness. So we need to claim what needs to change. Whether that's perfectionism, whether that's I'm not taking care of my body in the way that my evolved self really wants me to, or maybe it's I'm continuing to people please instead of stand up for myself. Step 2 is asking for help. Therapy, coaching, consulting, whatever it is for you, get help. Find your accountability buddy, make it happen. Now, step 3 is practicing self-awareness in real time. And what that looks like is the next time you notice your body saying, oh, I really don't want to pick up that shift, and your mouth wants to say yes because you have that tendency to people please, notice it. It doesn't mean you have to make a change right away. Just being in your own body and recognizing that it doesn't feel right is starting to measure and really pay attention to those small moments of self-abandonment. And then step 4 is going to be practice release. And this is really where the Evolve method comes in. This is where you get to meditate understand where this stuff comes from, honor your inner child, and really process it. And then you have elevate, which is understanding what your ideal looks like. What is your evolved self? How do they show up? Who are the mentors and role models that you look up to? And then the last step is going to be integrate, which is actually starting to live out and embody this life, this energy abundance that you deeply crave, and live it out. These are the small, consistent steps that you take over time that are going to lead to true transformation. Now, please let me know if y'all have any questions about this. I obviously nerd out about this stuff. I've been giving this presentation to hospitals for about 6 years, and it always goes over so well. So if you are interested in wanting me to come do a workshop for your teams, please come see. I'm also going to be giving a workshop on this exact topic at TVMA on, that's February 28th, Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to noon. So come check it out. I would love for you to join my workshop. It would make me so happy. And then we're doing it again at SWIVs upcoming in 2026. So if you are interested in joining for any of these, please come do it. It really means the world to me that you guys show up, follow the Evolve Vets podcast, and then really start to join the membership and live this out throughout your lifetime. I nerd out about this stuff, and I really know that it can change your life because it changed mine. If you love this podcast, you find yourself nodding along, thinking, this is exactly how I feel at work, and sometimes even outside of work, then I want to invite you to something even bigger. Come with me to the Evolve Vets membership. It's my online home and community for women in veterinary medicine who are done surviving and ready to start evolving. Inside the membership, you're going to find race-approved masterclasses, vet reset meditations, live monthly coaching with yours truly, and a community of women who actually get it. It's not toxic positivity. It's not just another membership you sign up for. It's learning how to manage your energy, protect your boundaries, and build a sustainable career in veterinary medicine. It's your choice to move from self-abandonment to self-devotion. And the truth is, you don't have to do it alone, my friend. Come evolve with us. So thank you so much for having interest in our energy abundance masterclass and our winter evolution. All right, so now let's think about what micro recovery looks like. So balance is not just a 2-week vacation twice a year, right? Research on stress, on psychology shows that our body performs best to small, frequent recovery periods. What this could look like is, for me, sometimes I sing really loud in the car. Like, I love Taylor Swift and I will jam out on the way home from work. And sometimes it's her really sad songs if I need a good cry. And sometimes it is her really happy songs. Deep breathing between rooms. Like, do 4 in, 4 out. That's okay. Go outside. After that, euthanasia. Put your feet in the grass. Practice grounding. Get connected to the earth. It actually physiologically changes your body. Actually take time to eat lunch or dinner. When you're hungry, go to the break room, eat. You don't have to work and eat at the same time. Small resets regulate your limbic system. Consistent, small steps is actually what creates the change. You don't just look at your evolved self and like magically become that, right? It's these small steps, it's these small moments of recognizing, oh, I think I was about to self-abandon. I don't want to do that today. And then maybe the next time you do, and you realize like, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. I felt better doing it in my evolved self way. I want to step up that way. And now balance requires boundaries. It requires you to do that so you are sustainable. It requires integrity. It requires integrity with yourself, knowing how you show up, not to self-abandon, but to truly show up for who you are and what you need. Delegate when appropriate, right? Just how we talked about the medical director that I was coaching. It's okay to share things and empower other people on your team. Say no to those extra shifts. This is what balance in veterinary medicine actually looks like. It's not all or nothing. It's that you are a veterinarian and you are all these other things too. It's not over-explaining, medical decisions to appease anxiety. It's, those moments where you say, this is what's true for me. And I can give you guys a real example. Over Thanksgiving weekend, I was so excited because Fabian's family was coming in from Brazil for the first time in 5 years. And it was so special to me because I hadn't met them before and we were bringing our families together. So it just felt really connected. And unfortunately, I I was reached out to work some shifts, and I had this people pleaser in me want to pull me to say yes. But ultimately I just said no. I didn't explain why. I didn't need to justify. I just said, hey, it's not going to work for me. And that's all I had to say. And luckily the person who had reached out was so nice about it. Just like, absolutely. I know that this is a tough time. And she didn't even know that I had, this significant day happening on the other end, but I also didn't have to explain it to her to justify the why. Now, when we self-abandon, right, that leads to frustration, empathy, and honestly, apathy, which usually ends up people wanting to leave the field. So it's really important to practice releasing that control so you can show up for yourself, because having a sustainable career in veterinary medicine is actually the thing that's going to make you a better vet long-term. Now, with emotional processing, right, we talked about that one. Balance is just not suppressing those hard emotions. It looks like don't cancel your grief, right? It looks like these moments where resilience doesn't eliminate your sadness. You can be sad and be resilient too. Research shows that when we suppress our emotions, it increases our cortisol and increases our prolonged stress. Like our stress response is heightened. Our amygdala comes on a lot faster. We're more triggered more easily. When we have this balance, it requires expression. It requires you to let go of things when they need to. And it also requires deep internal reflection, the inner work that we talk about. So I was recently triggered. One of my core values is integrity. And Fabian and I had this example where I asked him to switch the laundry and walked out the door onto a work trip. And I was gone for several days. When I came home a few days later, the laundry wasn't changed. And when I mentioned that he might have forgotten, he told me that he did a really good job in other areas of the house. And I was so mad about this laundry not getting it done, guys. It didn't make any sense. Like, why on earth had he not done the laundry? And I didn't care about anything else in the whole house that he had done. But now our clothes were sour and I was upset because that was the one thing I had asked him to do. So I reluctantly, started the wash and kind of was having a bad attitude about it and realized that I was having an abnormal response for what just happened. He forgot to do the laundry. Not a big deal, right? But I was triggered. So what that tells me is this is not about me pointing the finger at Fabian for not doing the laundry. This is about me struggling with integrity and me expecting people to follow through when they commit to something for me. And why was that? So my emotional regulation process looked like a lot of meditation and journaling, where I was able to write out how I was feeling. And I came to this key understanding that I was actually triggered because I wanted to control the outcome, because my last engagements didn't work out the way that I wanted them to. So now when somebody commits something to me, like their word is everything. So if you're going to commit something to me, I need you to follow through on it. And so when people cancel plans or, something as silly as the laundry, I go through it. And it was beautiful because as we were able to come back, I was able to say, hey, like, I know I was upset about the laundry and it's really not a big deal. But for me, like the thing that I learned was like, I struggle when people don't follow through on their commitments, and it has nothing to do with you, right? Like the more I can process my experience and my feelings around it, it means it's not about him. It means it's about me and me working through the things that have happened to me in my past. And the truth is, as I know that, I probably will get triggered about something else stupid. Like, I don't know. Maybe we decide on a date night, or, somebody in the hospital says that they're going to pick up a shift for me and then they don't do it. Whatever the example might be, it will happen again. But next time I'm going to say, oh, I'm triggered again because somebody isn't doing something that they committed to me, and I want to hold tight and white knuckle this outcome. And because I can't actually control the outcome and this isn't going to happen anymore, I'm in stress mode. My amygdala is firing, and I can go cry it out, journal it out, and just see it for what it is. Like, someone forgot the laundry. We had to change date night. They can't pick up my shift anymore. And that's just the reality. It doesn't have to mean anything, but our brain is taught to make it mean something. So when your brain gets triggered, be aware. Like, notice when your response doesn't match the actual situation, and go do the meditations, do the elevations and the integrations to understand why this is happening for you. Because the truth is, when you're facing your own triggers and you go in and you do the internal work, that's how you heal. That's how you show up better for the people that you love and you bring them along your journey. So sharing vulnerably all these crazy things about how I was upset about something stupid like the laundry. But the truth is it showed me something so much deeper, which is like I am still working through things from my past. And that's okay because I am going to have feelings. I am going to have fear and sadness, but I also can say that's not mine to control. And I trust the universe to bring whatever is right for me. And so now let's talk about our identity outside of medicine. What lights you up outside the clinic? What are you doing when you're not being a doctor or a vet tech? It's remembering that there's more to you, that you're a partner, a friend, a daughter. Maybe you're an athlete or a creator or a traveler, a human that's going to have human experiences and have different passions and things that you love. Maybe you're a gamer, right? Just make sure you're moving from this place of self-abandonment to self-devotion. And that's really what all our winter evolution is really centered around. Energy abundance is truly just sticking to self-devotion and the things that make you great. It doesn't mean you work out every day. It just means the weeks that you need to rest, you honor your body and you rest. And the weeks that you feel motivated and want to honor your body by exercising, great. Go on that long walk or go to the Pilates class. Do what's best for you. Now, let's also be honest about this because I hear this all the time. I just don't have the time to prioritize myself. It'll be better after busy season or when I have less hospitals to take care of, when I have more time, once we hire another associate, after this conference, after the next promotion. And there's this constant delay that I hear. And usually as I start coaching with people, Code Blue coaching, we get to this place of people just realizing that they were afraid because they knew that they were going to have to confront some things that didn't feel comfortable. And confronting those is really hard for many veterinarians because we are these high performers. We're the high achiever that want to people please, that want to be perfect. And the truth is we tell ourselves, I'll rest when I earn it. And I'll just prioritize this when I'm not as busy. I'm a mom. I don't have time. No, I have not been a mom, but I do hear from the people in our membership that are moms that start doing this work and they prioritize it, that it is so rewarding because it helps them show up as better wives, better partners, better moms as well. So rest is not a reward for survival, right? Like it's a requirement. If you want to be in vet med long-term, rest and balance is so important because balance requires abundance mindset. And we've talked about abundance mindset many a time, but let me just give you guys a refresher. There's lack mindset, and it says there's never enough time, never enough money, there's never enough help. I want other people to do it for me. But abundance says, okay, like I'm just going to make one small change this month, and I'm going to choose to do this one thing differently. And then over time, you start to see the gaps. Instead of seeing the gaps, you start to see the gains, like all the amazing things that you are able to accomplish. And then you start to hear yourself saying, I can reallocate, I can build a system, I can create support, I can delegate this to somebody else. Energy creates evidence. And when we have evidence and your mind believes that you can do it, you'll start to actually do it more and more. There's a quote from David Emerald from the 3 Vital Questions presentation that I do for hospitals. And it says, the more you seek out possibilities, the more you have good outcomes, right? So the more we're designing and we're focusing on the outcome that we want, the more possibilities that show up. And it's not, this is the only way to get there. And because this isn't easy, I'm in lack mindset. It's this concept of like, okay, I know that I'm going to work towards this outcome and I'm going to do that by seeing all the different possibilities and being open-minded to how I get there. Now, one of my clients actually taught me about balance, and in Kobu coaching, and in the membership, my clients are going through this transition of not blowing up and just completely starting over, right? It's not this like complete redevelopment. Now, sometimes eventually they get there over time, but what it really looks like is just saying, okay, today I'm, going to practice self-care and I'm actually going to go on this walk instead of, taking this customer call. I'll call them back tomorrow. I had a medical director that stopped over explaining herself to clients in their hospital. We had an ER vet who built a 10-minute decompression ritual. And that decompression ritual actually helped her get through her shifts a little bit easier. A practice owner who finally hired an office manager that would help her. A mom who took a 15 minutes for herself, making sure that she could be more present for her kiddos. And then we also had a GP vet who stopped picking up extra shifts out of guilt. And then shout out to our new grad who decided that gold standard didn't require punishment. Failing a test or doing poorly on a test doesn't mean she's not going to be a great veterinarian. And so balance is really just a disciplined version of living in alignment, and reminder that there's always going to be grace here. It's just the consistency of how you make it actionable. And when you do fall off the wagon, similar to, me getting behind on the winter evolution when I was traveling for work, the truth is when you show up for it, it matters so much. And so ask yourself, where am I leaking energy? Do I notice my energy being shared in ways that I don't necessarily want it to be shared? Maybe I'm leaking energy when gossip happens on the floor. What do I tolerate that I actually resent? What's happening around me that I can find myself being annoyed by, but I tolerate it? Maybe it's time to start speaking up against whatever the thing is that's bothering you. When do I feel most regulated? Right? Who are the people that you surround yourself that make you feel so at peace? What activity are you doing for those? And then what's one boundary you could add this week? What would that look like if you could add a boundary this week? Is it saying no? Is it, setting a window around bedtime for your kids? What is the thing? And then think about, as you take the energy quiz, what would an improvement feel like? Even if it's small, it could be a small improvement, a momentary improvement, but what could you work into your habit that would actually feel like you've made a lot of progress? And start with that one. Maybe balance isn't about equal distribution, the 25, 25, 25, but maybe it's about really choosing actions that are helping you live an aligned life. It's letting your emotions move through your body and releasing them. It's noticing when you're triggered or jealous and actually doing the work to understand why. It's living out this protected energy, and it means that you're just not meant to survive veterinary medicine. I think this is where we get it wrong, and it's wrong all across the nation, right? It's proven in the statistics, but you are meant to evolve with it. And that's what deeply matters. So my friend, thank you for sharing this podcast with me today. Balance is not something you find. It's all about how you create more of the passion and joy that shows up in your life so you can better love veterinary medicine for exactly what it is. It's through these micro choices. It's through awareness and boundaries that actually show up for your self-devotion. And this is how you can actually prevent the self-abandonment, because you're worthy of a career that doesn't consume you. You're worthy of rest without guilt. And you're worthy now. You don't have to wait. You deserve that 10 minutes in the morning or the bubble bath meditation like I do in the evenings. Just make the space for the things that you need to live that aligned life, and make decisions based on balance, based on your deepest needs and the things that you love the most, because that is how you will find the fulfillment. Because sustainable careers in vet med aren't accidental, it's intentional. It's small progress over time. And so I want to give you guys so much love and hugs, and just really hope that together, let's stop revolving and start evolving. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to the Evolve Vets podcast. It truly means the world to me. If this episode supported you or sparked something new in you, please go to evolvevets.com to become a member or join our coaching program and truly continue this work beyond the podcast. Let's evolve together.